Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Mite Time Mikes. I'm Sarah, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend Mike. How's it going, Mike?
Hey Sarah, I'm doing great. I'm actually feeling really energized today because we are talking about one of my favorite things in the entire world. I've been looking forward to this all week.
I can guess what it is. Is it food?
Well, food is always a close second, but no, today we're talking about planning a trip. You know me, I've always got a bit of itchy feet. I can't stay in one place for too long before I start looking at maps and checking flight prices.
I know exactly what you mean. There is something so exciting about the beginning of the process, right? Just the idea that you could go anywhere. But honestly, Mike, for some people, planning a trip is actually really stressful. It's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Oh, I totally get that. It can be overwhelming. There are so many things to figure out. Where to go, how to get there, how much it's going to cost. But that's why we're here. We're going to break it down and talk about how we handle it.
Definitely. I think the first thing most people struggle with is just picking a destination. There are so many beautiful places. How do you usually choose where to go next? Do you have a bucket list, or do you just go wherever is cheapest?
It's a bit of both, honestly. I do have a list of places I want to see before I'm old and gray, but usually I let the prices decide for me. If I see a cheap flight to somewhere I've never been, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to Poland this year. What about you? Are you a strict planner?
I'm definitely more of a researcher. I like to look into the weather, the local culture, and especially the food scenes. I'm not the kind of person who can just wing it. I need to know what I'm getting into. For example, last year, I wanted to go to Italy, but I realized that if I went in July, it would be way too hot for me. I'd just melt.
No way. July in Italy is beautiful though, but I see your point. The heat can be brutal. See, that's a great tip already. Check the season before you book. You don't want to turn up in Southeast Asia during monsoon season unless you really love rain.
Exactly. I think that's where the figuring out part starts. Once you have a general idea, you have to look at your budget. This is the part that usually makes people nervous. Nobody wants to break the bank on a single vacation.
I know, right? But traveling on a shoestring budget can actually be more fun sometimes. You end up staying in hostels, meeting people from all over the world, and eating at local street stalls instead of fancy restaurants.
I agree to an extent, but I think as I get older, I appreciate a little more comfort. I've moved past the phase of sleeping on a 12-bed dorm room floor. I need a real pillow and maybe a door that locks.
Fair enough. You're getting fancy on me, Sarah. But seriously, budgeting is key. I usually start by setting a daily limit. I figure out how much I can afford to spend on food and fun each day, and then I work backwards.
That's a smart way to do it. Speaking of working backwards, let's talk about flights. Do you book months in advance, or are you a last-minute kind of guy?
I used to be very last minute, but I've learned the hard way that it usually costs way more. Now I try to book at least 2 or 3 months early. Also, I found that flying on a Tuesday or Wednesday is so much cheaper than flying on a Friday.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I usually just look for flights on the weekend because that's when I have free time to browse.
No, definitely check the midweek prices. It's a total game changer. And here's another thing. Don't be afraid of layovers. I once had a 12-hour layover in Istanbul, and instead of sitting in the airport, I went out into the city, had an amazing dinner, saw the Blue Mosque, and then headed back for my flight. It was like 2 trips in one.
That sounds amazing, but also a bit risky. I'd be so worried about missing my connecting flight. I'm the person who gets to the airport 3 hours early and just sits by the gate with my passport in my hand.
That is so you. I'm the one running through the terminal as they're calling final boarding. But hey, it adds to the excitement, right?
Not for me. My heart couldn't take it. But okay, once the flights are booked, we have to think about where to stay. You mentioned hostels and I mentioned hotels. What about Airbnbs? They've become so popular lately.
I love Airbnbs if I'm traveling with a group of friends. It's so much better to have a kitchen and a living room where everyone can hang out. But if I'm alone, I still prefer a hostel or a small guest house. It's just easier to meet people. If you're in an apartment by yourself, it can get a bit lonely, don't you think?
I can see that. But I love the feeling of living in a city, even if it's just for a week. Going to the local grocery store, buying fresh bread, making coffee in a real kitchen, it makes me feel less like a tourist and more like a local.
That's a really good point. It's all about what kind of experience you want. Some people want to be pampered in a resort, and others want to get their hands dirty and explore. There's no wrong way to do it.
True. But there is a wrong way to pack. Mike, please tell me you're not one of those people who brings a massive suitcase for a 3-day trip.
Guilty. Well, okay, I've gotten better. I used to pack everything just in case. Just in case it rains, just in case I go to a fancy gala, just in case I decide to go hiking. I ended up carrying a 20-kilogram bag through the streets of Paris. Never again.
A gala? Mike, when have you ever spontaneously gone to a gala?
Hey, you never know. But seriously, I've learned to scale back. Now I try to carry only a backpack if I can. It makes moving around so much easier. You don't have to wait at the baggage carousel, and you don't have to worry about the airline losing your stuff.
I'm still working on that. I always struggle with shoes. You need walking shoes, but then you need nice shoes for dinner and maybe flip-flops for the beach. It adds up. I usually end up sitting on my suitcase just to get it to zip shut.
That is a classic image. I think every traveler has done that at least once. But honestly, if you forget something, you can usually just pick it up when you get there. Most places have shops, believe it or not.
That's what I tell myself, but then I realize I forgot my favorite pajamas and I'm sad for the whole trip.
You and your pajamas. But okay, let's talk about the actual itinerary. Do you like to have every hour planned out, or do you prefer to just wake up and see where the day takes you?
I'm a middle-of-the-road person. I like to have one big thing planned for each day, like a museum visit or a specific tour, and then leave the rest of the time free. If you plan too much, it feels like work. You're constantly checking your watch.
Exactly. I hate that feeling. I like to stumble upon things. Some of my favorite travel memories come from getting lost. Once in Tokyo, I took the wrong train and ended up in this tiny neighborhood with the most incredible little ramen shop. I never would have found it if I'd stayed on my planned route.
That sounds lovely. But what if you get lost and you can't find your way back? Or what if you don't speak the language? That can be pretty scary.
Well, that's where technology comes in. Thank goodness for offline maps. I always download the map of the city before I leave the hotel. And translation apps have gotten so good now. You can just point your camera at a menu and it translates it instantly. It's like living in the future.
It really is. I remember my parents traveling with those giant paper maps that you could never fold back up properly. It looked like such a headache.
My dad used to get so angry at those maps. Where are we, Susan? The map says there's a bridge here.
Poor Susan. But yeah, apps definitely make things easier. Though I do think we sometimes spend too much time looking at our phones instead of looking at the beautiful things right in front of us. That's a very fair point. I try to put my phone away once I know where I'm going. I want to soak in the atmosphere, the smells, the sounds. That's the whole point of traveling, isn't it? To experience something different from your everyday life. Absolutely. And part of that experience is the food. We can't talk about trips without talking about the food. Are you an adventurous eater, Mike?
Oh, I'll try almost anything once. I've had fried insects in Thailand and fermented shark in Iceland. The shark was, well, let's just say I won't be ordering it again. It tasted like cleaning fluid.
Oh, no way. I draw the line at insects. I'm adventurous, but not that adventurous. I mostly just want to find the best local version of a common dish. Like, find me the best pasta in Rome or the best tacos in Mexico City, and I'm a happy girl.
You see, that's a mission in itself. I love having a food goal for a trip. It gives you a reason to explore different neighborhoods.
It really does. But let's talk about when things go wrong, because they always do, right? You can plan everything perfectly and something will still come up.
You're right. Like the time my flight was canceled and I had to spend the night on a plastic chair in the airport. Or when I realized I'd left my passport in the hotel safe and I was already at the train station.
Oh my God, Mike, what did you do?
I had to beg a taxi driver to drive like a Formula One racer back to the hotel. I barely made the train. My heart was pounding for hours. It was a total nightmare at the time, but now it's a funny story I can tell.
That's the spirit. I think that's a good mindset to have. If something goes wrong, just tell yourself, this will be a great story later. It helps you stay calm when you're in a tough situation.
Definitely. And it helps to come up with a backup plan. I always keep a digital copy of my passport and my bookings on my phone and in my email. If I lose my physical papers, I'm not totally stuck.
That's a great tip. I also like to carry a bit of emergency cash hidden in a different spot for my wallet, just in case.
Very smart. You're like a secret agent.
Just a prepared traveler. I've also found that it's really helpful to learn a few basic phrases in the local language. Even just hello, please, and thank you. People really appreciate it when you make an effort.
I couldn't agree more. It opens doors. Even if your pronunciation is terrible, people usually smile and try to help you. It shows respect for their culture.
It really does. So, Mike, if you could go anywhere right now, money and time are no object, where would you go?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I think I'd love to go to Patagonia. The mountains, the glaciers, it looks like a different planet. I want to go hiking there for a month. How about you?
I've been dreaming about Japan lately. I want to see the cherry blossoms and visit the old temples in Kyoto, and of course, eat my weight in sushi.
That sounds incredible. Japan is definitely on my list too. Maybe we should plan a nighttime Mike's trip.
Can you imagine? We'd spend the whole time arguing about whether to stay in a hostel or a hotel.
We'd find a compromise. A very nice hostel with private rooms.
Okay, I could deal with that, but I'm still not eating any fermented shark.
Deal. No shark for Sarah. But honestly, I think the planning part is almost as fun as the trip itself. It's that feeling of anticipation. You're sitting at your desk at work, but in your mind, you're already walking down a street in Tokyo or sitting on a beach in Brazil.
I totally agree. It gives you something to look forward to when your daily life feels a bit boring or repetitive. Even just looking at photos of a place can boost my mood.
And there are so many resources now. YouTube travel vlogs, blogs, Instagram. You can see exactly what a place looks like before you even get there. Sometimes I feel like I've already been to a place because I've watched so many videos about it.
Do you think that's a good thing, though? Sometimes I feel like it ruins the surprise. If you've seen every angle of the Eiffel Tower on Instagram, does it feel less special when you see it in person?
That's a deep question. I think it's different. Seeing a photo is one thing, but feeling the wind, hearing the sounds of the city, and actually standing there, that's something a screen can never give you.
That's true. There's no substitute for the real thing. I think the key is to use those resources for information, like finding out which entrance is less crowded, but not to let them dictate your whole experience.
Exactly. Use them to figure out the logistics, but leave room for the magic.
Well said. You know, we've talked a lot about the big stuff, but what about the little things? Like, do you bring a physical book or an e-reader? Do you take a camera or just use your phone?
I'm an e-reader convert. I love physical books, but they're so heavy. I can fit 1,000 books into one thin device. It's a no-brainer for travel. And for photos, I mostly use my phone, but I do have a small camera for when I want to get artsy.
I'm still a fan of physical books. There's something about reading a paper book on a train that feels so classic. Plus, I like leaving the book behind for someone else to find once I finished it.
Oh, I like that. Like a little gift for the next traveler. That's a really sweet idea.
Yeah, I found some great books that way in hostel take a book, leave a book baskets. It's like a little connection to whoever was there before you.
It's those little things that make traveling so special. It's not just about the big monuments. It's about the people you meet and the small moments of connection.
I couldn't agree more. Even if it's just a short conversation with a shopkeeper or sharing a laugh with a stranger because you both got splashed by a puddle.
Hopefully that doesn't happen too often, but you're right.
So for our listeners who are thinking about setting off on a trip soon, what would be your number one piece of advice?
My number one tip, don't put it off. People always say, I'll travel when I have more money, or I'll go next year when I'm less busy. But the truth is, you'll never feel like you have enough money or enough time. Just book the flight. Figure out the rest later.
That's bold advice, Mike. My advice would be a bit more practical. Do your research, but don't let it stress you out. Planning should be part of the fun. If you're getting frustrated, take a break and come back to it later. And always, always pack comfortable shoes.
Yes, the shoes. Nothing ruins a trip faster than a blister on the first day.
Exactly. Your feet are your best friends when you're exploring a new city. Treat them well.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. I'm already feeling like I need to go pack a bag and head to the airport.
Me too. I might go look into some flights to Japan right after we finish recording.
Take me with you. I promise I won't bring any gala clothes this time.
We'll see, Mike. We'll see.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Nighttime Mics. We hope this conversation gave you some inspiration, or at least some useful English phrases for your next adventure.
Yes, we'd love to hear from you. Where are you planning to go next? Or what's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you while traveling? Let us know in the comments or send us a message.
We love reading your stories. They're usually way better than mine.
That's probably true. All right, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you in the next episode.
Safe travels, everyone. Bye.
Bye.